Hi, morning everyone. It's the time for HRM sharing session again. But before we start it, I would like to give you a brief introduction of myself and also this HR community. For HRM is a human resources community whereby we exchange and share human resources ideas with the aim of adding value to people. And from time to time, we will invite human resources experts, practitioners to share on some of the human resources topic. And my name is Rita Choi, and the founder of HRM. And this is also my passion that I want to make it happen and also to add value to people. And today, we are very glad that we have a few HR experts who are joining us to share the experience and knowledge on a topic called goal settings. Okay, so I would like to pass the control to each of the speaker today so that they can introduce themselves. Then after that, we will start the question and answer session. Okay, I would like to start with Carolyn. Carolyn? Yeah. Can you unmute yourself when you speak? Okay, Carolyn, please.
Okay, sorry. Hi, this is Caroline. I am from Singapore. Interestingly, I took the unconventional way to HR. So I didn't exactly start my career as HR. I started my career as accounting, finance. So gradually I progressed into industrial relations, which is the union. So then on, I actually progressed on to other HR, risk management, as well as com and bank and the other scopes of HR. So I've been practicing HR for about 16 years. So yeah, but I'm still learning every day from everyone else.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. And then we have Dia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dia Ambarwati. I've been in the job since 1991, so I don't know how much experience I have because I decide not to count anymore. But I started my journey as a HR practitioner, as an English teacher. And then from then on, I become the training coordinator and moving up to where I am right now. So I should say that I'm quite a generalist. I can do everything, industrial relations, total rewards, organization development, and then staffing as well. But I think I should say that my passion is really in OD, or organization development. And right now I'm with a financial institution. I'm joining Sun Life Financial Indonesia as a country head of HR. And it's going into 8 years now. So I'm exactly 8 years with Sun Life now. Yeah.
Thank you, Dia. How
Yeah.
about Max? Max, you have to unmute yourself before you speak.
Hi everyone, good morning, and glad to be able to see all of you again. And there are some new faces for today's session. My name is Mahendran, and some close friends call me Max, but I would prefer to be known as Mahendran. I have been in the line of human resource for the past 20 years, and ever since I graduated, I joined HR department until today, and I've held various positions, various areas within the human resource functions. The last position before I joined the banking industry, I was the regional head of human resources and had take care of Asia Pacific region. And the last 7 years, I've been with the international bank located in Malaysia, in charge of industrial relation, managing 5 trade unions in the country, as well as occasionally supporting other countries, other neighboring countries. So I have experience as a generalist as well as a specialist. So for today's section, I will be sharing based on the perspective from being an industrial relations person. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, Max. So, okay, so let's start the first one. Okay, maybe the quite the basic one is, to your knowledge, how do you define goal setting? How do you define goal setting? Anybody would like to give us a brief introduction, a brief definition of this one? Anybody?
I think I will start.
Thank you, dear.
So goal setting is basically a process of identifying something that you want to accomplish, right?
Mhm.
So since when I started my career, it has been there. People have been using different kind of avenues to achieve their goals, but the goals has been there, simple or complicated. But right now, I could see that the development of goal setting is much more advanced, where they measure the goals, they put the time frames, they put some resources to ensure the goal is reached, and more importantly, whether the goal is impactful for the career or for whatever achievement that they want to achieve. So that's basically a brief understanding or definition from myself about the goal settings.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
I can remember that recently I have heard a very experienced and also successful person saying that if you want to be successful, you need to set your goals.
Yeah.
Okay. So no matter is on your personal level or on the company level, I think goal setting really help us to achieve what we want.
Yeah.
So what features of goal settings are important if you want to ensure that they are more likely to be successfully achieved? Especially in the beginning of the year, a lot of a corporate will ask their employees to set goals of the year, objectives of the year. So what would be the features of goal setting, which will help them ensure that they are likely to be achieved? So will anybody to share, like Max, would you like to share on this?
Hi, Rita. I am having a connection problem here. I'll let you go first. I will pick up from the others shortly.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so I will have Caroline. Caroline, can you say something about this
So,
this question?
I think as what you mentioned, I think a lot of organizations set goals at the beginning of the year. But usually, what I will actually advise my managers, if let's say when they're going into goal setting, is that they need to be clear about what outcome they want. So say for example, if the company wants to earn a certain revenue, so they need to set a goal with their employees as in like what can they do to contribute to their revenue. So that is one. Secondly, it has to be motivational enough for the employees to want to do it. So there must be certain rewards or incentives at the end of it. So say for example, if they manage to hit it, then what would the employees get? Be it kind of recognition or monetary rewards. And finally, I think it has to be something that is a little more stretch. It's not something that the employee can just do it. It needs to make sure that the employee is willing to do it. That's one. Secondly, they feel inspired to do it, and also it has them put in certain amount of effort to do it. So I think technically that is how I would define how to go about doing goal setting.
I see. Well, I really loved your first feature that you mentioned. Begin with that, the end in our mind, right? What do we want to achieve, right? Before we set any goals. So anybody would like to add on this? Anybody? Hello? Anybody would like to add on this?
I'll try
Yeah?
to add in this
Okay.
case. Okay.
Right.
I totally agree with Caroline idea about having to know the end purpose, and then we are going to work backwards on setting up the milestones and setting up the kind of process that we want to do or undergo to ensure that the goals are achieved. So when Caroline also mentioned that goal setting is going to be much more interesting when it comes with reward, and goal setting is also obviously attached to performance management process, right? So whenever people are achieving their goals, and then their performance is being scaled or being measured, it will let us know to what kind of achievement levels they are at, right? If they're at strong contribution, for example, they will just receive the normal, monetary rewards. But if they exit or they excel, they will get more. So this is something that is very important to. Sorry, can everybody hear?
Yes, we can hear. Continue,
Uh,
yeah, dear.
yeah. So this is actually the exciting elements of the goal setting itself, because it is giving back a reward to the person, and it is very motivating for the person to pursue even the goals that is beyond his current capabilities or aid, something like that.
Very good. Anybody would like to add on this on this question? Anybody? Max, do you still have the connection issue? Hello? Max? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm back.
Yeah.
All right. I think your earlier question was about the features, the important features for goal setting, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think before the organization embark into goal setting, usually happening at the beginning of a fiscal year, then the organization has to uh, inform its employees uh, what is the organization's mission and goal for that particular year, and based on that, then all other functions should then look into how they are able to craft objective for their department in order to achieve the organization goals. So we should start with that. This is my take, and I'll share more after this.
Okay. Thank you, Max. Anybody would like to add on this before we move forward? Okay. So we mentioned about the features, what's in our mind, what we want to achieve at the end in order to craft our objectives of the year and so forth. So what kind of goals do you think are more likely to make our employees more motivated to achieve them? As for sales, sales will be more related to revenue and so forth. Maybe for them, it may not be very motivated, maybe not very exciting goals to them. What would you think would be the some of the goals which will help them which make them very motivated to achieve them? What do you think? Start with Caroline. Caroline, we like to, but Caroline, can you speak louder? Because yeah, your voice was quite soft.
Okay.
Caroline, yeah.
I think to motivate employees for in terms of goals to make them want to do it, it's something that they must see that there's a relevance to them. So say for example, if you ask a HR person just that if you put a goal of like to in terms of ensuring that the company revenue is of X dollars, and then or rather even if or rather a finance person, if you tell them that hey, we need one of your goals this year is to make sure that the company earns X number of dollars, and then so what should I do? How is it relevant to me? So so to me, goals needs to be clear. It needs to have direct relevance to what the person is doing on the job. because if not, then the employee will be very lost as to how they go about doing it, and eventually they might just give up and say that I don't know how I'm going to do this. There's no direct relevance, and I'm just going to give that up. So I think that's actually something that's very important in terms of that component.
Yeah, relevancy, right? Okay. How about Dia? Dia? Dia, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay, I forgot I muted it. Sorry. So one, it is relevant. I just want to share a little bit experience on how goal setting is
Yeah.
crafted in my organization.
Great. Yeah.
So when Max said that it depends on the kind of system that we have and how the infrastructure is being built. So and the dates, right? I started my goal setting draft in June. Yeah, every year, because I know that by October, usually the company has already set their priorities, and then moving along after the company, it become regional. Also, usually kicks in their priorities, and then also the corporate. So, by preparing ahead and keep communicating it to my team, they can see more and more relevance and contextual impact to their role, right? By doing so, by communicating since June, for example, it also built the connection, right, to the kind of responsibilities that they will have in the future. First of all, second of all, they can also start measuring on how they can partner with someone, or how they can look for certain resources that can help them achieve the goal, right? And then there is also a journey of self-development, because then my team will start engaging people, and then resources, and then people outside the organization. So that allows my team not only to see how the goals will affect them, but at the same time growing their connectivity to people, or connectivity to the sources. So that will make the goal setting process will be much more exciting. So it's like a journey, right? And then why is it started since June? Because in nowadays life, right, long-term goals is no longer favorable. Even
Mm,
1 year is already long enough. We are
mm,
living in agile world where everything is measured through even minimum viable product, or MVP. So the
mm,
result is very fast. So we need to have a faster process, and we can decide whether these kind of priorities or goals are still relevant within the period of time, within the journey that we have been through, within the competition in the market that we have. So I think this is also something important that we need to, what do you call, introduce to our team and to ourselves, that's the world is evolving very fast, and that everyone needs to read the situation very fast. I think as a leader in HR, it is our ultimate job nowadays, yeah, to ensure that we also bring them to that kind of journey, so they get more prepared, and the year start goal will be more clear, and know how to be achieved.
wow. Thank you.
So yeah,
Thank you, dear.
yeah.
Anybody would like to add on this question? Max, yes.
Yeah, hi Rita.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline and Dia. It was a wonderful sharing by both of you.
Mm,
For me, I would like to zoom into two main ingredients when we talk about how to motivate the employees or
mm,
our employees in the goals that we have set for the year.
mm,
Um, Two main important thing for me is that firstly, it takes both hands to clap. Okay, So when you set a goal, organization set a goal, employee will think, what is that for me if I achieve this? So reward
Mm,
and recognition is very important. You place a carrot, they go for it. All right. So they want to know what is there on in the plate for them. So that has to be clearly communicated. You achieve this, this is what you're going to get. So you achieve this is what an organization
mm,
going to get. All right.
mm,
So that is a first thing.
mm,
Secondly, is the process in which you assess their performance. All right, the
mm,
performance of the organization as well as the performance of the individual. All right, if you do not have a fair assessment system, our employee will say, "What's the point of setting goal? What's the point of achieving?" Okay, only the favorites are going to get it. We are left out. Now, what's the point? So you fail to motivate them to work towards a goal.
mm.
This is my take. Thanks.
Thank you, Max. So I think it related to what we discussed in our last session on performance management, right? We need to have a fair assessment system so that the staff will feel that, okay, the way that they are assessed or evaluated is in a fair manner. So it also helps them to motivate to achieve the goals. So some people did mention that we need to set a bigger goals, meaning that if you think that you can reach it, that should not be your goal. It should be a little bit harder. What do you think? Because there are some sort of sayings or some books saying that if you all know that we have to set a smart goal, right? Meaning that it needs to be reachable. But there are also people saying that if you set a goal which is reachable by your staff, they will not feel motivated. You should set some goals which are more challenging. What do you think? Who would like to share on this? Caroline, would you like to share on this?
Right. I was just trying to think of one example because I think someone has told me that
Mm,
the boss has actually set a goal, which was
mhm,
good. So so as a HR, I'll definitely ask like, so what do you think about that goal, right?
mm,
So interestingly, the person was telling me that the goal is so easy. I can finish it. I'm very, very
yeah,
confident. So
yeah,
so to me is so to me it's like wow. So it's either the goal is too easy or the boss didn't really evaluate and see what is needed from the staff and what the staff can or cannot do. So I went back to the boss and said that, hey, why do you set such an easy goal for your staff? You know, she needs to do like 100. That was compliance department. So she said that so one of the goals is that she needs to clear all the cases within within like 3 days. So, but she can clear, she definitely can clear all the cases within like 2 days usually. So, but then when I speak to the boss was saying that, look, if I set too far ago, my employee is going to feel demotivated. So if she's demotivated and she starts slowing down and decides not to do.
I see.
So, but the thing is that, but to me is like you mentioned smart goals, right? It has to be, and then it has to be a bit more stretched.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Caroline, I think you have some connection issue there. Hello? Caroline? Hello? Did we lose you? Hello? Hello? I think she might have some connection issue here. Okay, so dear, would you like to share on this one? You have to unmute yourself first.
I keep forgetting it. Sorry about that. I would like to share this from my recent performance conversation with my uh, OD AVP, in which he has a stunning staff who's been performing at exceeding expectation for the last 2 years. And I told him, you know what? Uh, it's been 2 years in a row. What are you going to do with the person?
Mm,
Because one, It can be the goal is not challenging enough that it can be easily achieved or attained. And then secondly, probably it's time for you to think about a promotion for her, because the goals probably very easy. And then I also told him, if I see the goals reflect sort of the same journey or processes, I may not want to approve it. I told him, because then it's gonna be the same process and journey that she will go through. Because whatever she has achieved exceededly, it should be something normal. Then you should set a higher, or a more risky, possibly, or a more complicated goals for her in 2020. So that's my kind of what do you call, reflection or translation into what your question was, Rita, on do we need to have a harder goal to motivate our employees? And it was just on Friday. My conversation was just on Friday, because it is coming into the goal setting, check in our system. We are using Workday. We are not yet using OKR. We are still using KPI. And I reminded them again on what kind of goals or the quality of goals that they need to submit in the workday. Yeah.
But Dia, you just mentioned OKR, right? Because I think a lot of companies use the KPI, right? What's the
Yeah.
difference between these two? Can you just let us know?
I think it's not necessarily significantly different, right? OKR is objective key results. KPI is sort of reflecting the same thing. Uh, it's really on how the person behind it using that measurement and that system, Rita, I guess. Because then again, whether we use KPI or OKR, once you set an easy goals, it's gonna be easy as well, right? So it doesn't matter, right? So it really takes a deeper analysis, a more challenging conversations that you need to extend to your people manager, to your direct leaders, on how the use of OKR KPI can be meaningful, right? So I think that's really the key, yeah, rather than focusing only on the system or the framework. Yeah.
Thank you, Dia. Max, would like to share something on this topic?
Yeah, Rita, thank you. I totally agree with you. Generally, the objective has to be stretching, all right,
Mm-hmm.
because we are in a very challenging economy environment, and
Exactly.
if the objectives are, are very easy achievable, that means that the organization probably did not have a starting target, because every organization would want to do better than the previous years, and to
Yes.
do better means to do
Yeah.
more, then everybody will have to do more.
Yeah.
And throughout my experience, I've also seen companies um, who are in certain industries where the business has a less challenging environment, has less competitor. Business just grow by itself, and this organization seems to be more relaxed, and therefore they do not really require that kind of stretching objective. I think probably I can quote some of the example. There was once upon a time, the tobacco industry was very good. They were paying very well to its employees, and the business just go just like that. Okay, I had happened to have a few of my acquaintances were working in these industries, and the feedback I get is that life it was just easy for them. All right, and I think oil and gas to a certain extent they had their D-Day or their their excellent days, right? But in today's environment, I think most industries are facing a lot of challenges in getting their required revenue. As such, stretching objective is very crucial for the growth of the company.
Mm, thank you, Max. So while we are discussing about this topic of challenging goals, so some of the employees may think that it's too challenging for them. If that happens, what as HR, what should we do? Because some people will say that should we work on their mindset so that they can change the way that they think in order for them to achieve the goals? What do you think? Maybe we'll start with Carolyn.
Sorry, I got distracted for a while. So do you mind repeating the question, Sarita?
Sorry, pardon me. You lost my question, right?
Yeah, correct. Sorry,
Okay.
I got
Yeah,
distracted.
yeah, yeah. So earlier we talked about challenging goals, right? We need to stretch
Mm,
our staff in order for the company to achieve a better result. So, but for the employees, they may not agree to. It's too challenging for them. So, should we work on because a lot of books, goal setting books says that before we set the goals for them, set the objective for them, we have to work on their mindset. What do you think?
mm.
Do you think this is HR job, or have you have any experience in dealing with that before?
Usually, what we will do in my previous organizations, we will guide the managers to do it. So we will train the managers in terms of goal setting and how to get the correct mindset from people. So we give them a step-by-step thing. So usually, what we will actually advise the managers will be to have realistic goals, plan those goals first, and show relevancy between what you want in the end and the goals itself. And then when you speak to the employees, you need to let them understand how this is contributing to the end. And also in terms of stretch goals, you need to let the employee feel that they have the support to reach those goals. So say for example, if the goals are really very stretched, then I think that's a problem. But then I think if it's reasonably stretched, then the managers need to let the employees know that, what they how they are going to get support from the company as well as their own managers, how the managers are going to guide them, to achieve those goals step by step. And if let's say along the way, if they have any questions or challenges, where can they get support, how they can get clarifications, and as well as identify any learning needs that's inside those that the employee needs, so that they can actually work with the L&D department in order to make sure that the employee get the relevant um, training in order to achieve those goals. So I think all these are actually very important if let's say we want to look at stretch goals.
Thank you, Caroline. How about Dia? Would you like to share anything on that? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay. I think in this case we need to, I don't know, I just think that organizational communication is really the strong strategy throughout the whole changes as an approach. Yeah, I think this should be a strong umbrella for the whole organization, even to our nucleus team in this case, right? So when I said to you that I set my goals back in June every year, the key is really to provide them uh, times of communicating back to us, to communicate with certain parties that is related to their goal, and to prepare sufficient time for them to prepare the sources as well. So I think it's really about providing the environment that is what do you call, that is partnership like, so it is not only a vertical instruction that you have to complete your goal, but it is also a horizontal one where you provide your coaching, your empowerment, your motivation to ensure the goal is delivered. by them. And I'm sure the what do you call, the attributes of what I said, being a partner, being more communicative, is much more reflected on the sharp methodology, which will be the next questions that you will possibly share with us. Yeah. Uh, and and that is because the changing environment, basically people needs to be communicated more, and they need to communicate back with us. We need to ensure that the balls don't drop, so I really emphasize on providing strong communications in this case. Yeah.
Communication. Thank you, dear. How
Yeah.
about Max? What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree with Dia on the communication part. I think that is very, very important
Mhm.
Mhm.
in in ensuring that employees understand, okay, their
Mhm.
goals and all that. Back to your question on whether um, the target is too stretching, right? Right. Yes, that makes sense because first of all, it's all started with the organization. How stretching is the organization target? All right. It cannot be that the leader of the organization wakes up one morning and said, "Oh, okay, we have to double up our revenue," and everybody running helter skelter and try to achieve that particular objective. All right. So as we all know, that objective has to be reasonable and achievable. Okay. Although we are looking at a stretching target, nevertheless, the target has to be realistic. Um, it cannot be too burdening to employees. For example, salespeople. If, let's say every individual are required to achieve 100,000 US dollar sale in a month. Okay, and you moving on to a new year, you increase to threefold. Okay, why? Under the pretext of starting target. Starting target without reasonableness is a failed target. All right, that is first one. Secondly, the transparency in which target is set is also very important. Organization goal, organization's roadmap has to be clearly communicated to all levels of employees. It's not only settled at the high level management level. It has also communicated to the grassroots level. Everybody must know what they are working towards. All right. For just like some of us may have heard that a janitor in NASA, when was asked a question, what are you doing here? So the response from janitor is that I'm making sure that the astronaut safe to the space. All right. So that kind of level of commitment and transparency have to be communicated. Everybody should know very clearly what they are working for on a daily basis. That is my take. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. So, so what kind of strategies that we should employ in order to help them overcome their barriers for setting goals? What kind of strategies should we use to help our employees to overcome the barriers that they will encounter along the way? Anybody would like to share on this? Maybe this time I start with Dia.
Um,
Max, you would like to share? Okay, so yeah, Max,
oh
yes.
yeah, okay, because
Yeah.
I always the last one, so I thought I start
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sure,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. All right. So I think the strategy is that very important. We have to build in a very good process. Okay. Process in which uh, manage from end to end, from the start of the objective setting till the end. That has to have a very good process. Everybody must clear on what to do when come to a objective setting, right up to the assessment level and rewarding level. All right, that is one thing. Secondly, we have to employ a very good tool. Okay, the tool must be able to be user friendly, capture the necessary ingredient of the objective setting, and would be able to track at a very good level of employees' performance in achieving their objective. Uh, as I've also shared in an earlier session, whereby we should be able to reduce a human intervention, because human intervention, especially supervisors or managers, uh, involve a lot of judgmental call, and every individual judgmental call can be different, and some are motivated with a personal agenda. So this is going to demotivate employees from further achieving cooperating with the organization. So the tool should be very specific, and inputting of the information, tracking, as well as assisting the assessment tool. I think this is a very important strategy for me. Thanks.
Anybody would like to share on this?
I think
Yeah,
I'm piggybacking from what Max explained. I
Mm.
totally agree with the infrastructure, the tools, the facilities, the easiness to reach the system. One more thing that I would like to add is the calibration. When it comes to systems and having less interference of human judgment in this case, I think it is also still good to have a calibration. Calibration is usually done, for example, when my AVP submitted the goal setting from him and then from his subordinates, yeah, I also challenge back and I ask to ensure that the clarity is there, and also to ensure the connection with other function within HR and then related department is also clear. So I don't know how it is done either in other company, but in my case, if I have one direct report, I will also would like to see the the subordinate of my direct reports, and it is able to be seen through Workday, and I can trace that, so I can challenge back. And so is the same for me in this case. When I submitted my goals to my CEO, it is also seen by the functional supervisor of mine, which is the regional head of HR, who sits in Asia, in Hong Kong. So by having that kind of calibration or system, it will enable us to incorporate a synergy in setting the goal, so it becomes more sharp, it becomes more clear to everyone that is involved. Yeah.
I see. I see. Anybody would like to share on this? Kelly, anything to share? Unmute yourself first, Marilyn. You have to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Sorry, I totally missed the question. I had some very bad connection problems, so sorry.
Yeah, strategies that we should adopt for employees to overcome any hurdles or barriers that they will encounter along the way for achieving their goals.
I think just now I think Mahendra as well as Ida has shared very well. In terms of strategies wise, I think just now I missed the part about goal setting, which is communication. So to me, strategy in terms of this would need to involve definitely communications as well, and also it needs to have a strong support in terms of how the entire HR team, I mean, even with the generalist as well as the L&D, can actually help the employees to support in terms of what they need to do in terms of the goal. So yeah, I think technically that is a summary of what I think.
Thank you, thank you. So here comes the last question from me. Then after that, we'll invite questions from the other participants. Then how do you develop a very sharp plan of action that help you or your employees to achieve their goals. Because now you have set the goals for them. What will be an effective way for them to plan, to come up with a plan of action? Who would like to speak first? Anybody?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I can.
try. I'll try.
Okay, sure.
So, you mentioned about sharp goal setting.
Yeah.
I think it is very important also to refresh ourselves, because we have been using smart goal setting for many years, and now people are moving on to sharp goals. So sharp basically stands for significant and salient, where in this case people are required to establish clear and meaningful milestones that provide the sense of purpose in this case. And then the H stands for healthy and holistic,
Mm,
where they're driven by healthy, positive, empowering motivation. So people are happily making the goal setting together, something like that, you know. And then the A stands for accountable, actionable, and aligned. And this is where we can include someone where you can be given permission to keep yourself accountable of what you want to be, and it is easier to keep your goals in line with how you want to achieve it. And then the R stands for risk and result oriented. I think this is the newer version. In Smart, we don't see that, but I like the part where it says risk and result oriented. Probably it is so much related with your previous question, Rita, where you said that we need to set a more challenging, a challenging goal for ourselves and our employees. By measuring risk and result, we can mitigate what kind of actions that will be suitably done, because we know that something may get in the way to achieve the goals, right? And lastly, it is partnered and persevered. And this is
mm,
something when I said about getting a horizontal support,
mm,
right? Where people are enabled to partner with anyone within the support system in the organization that can help them achieve the what do you call the goals. I
mm,
just want to share a little bit in this case. In the system that we use, Workday, aside from goal setting, people are also allowed to send a feedback request, or what do you call, a help kind of button to anyone they think they can get the support from to achieve their goals. And in certain period of time, the feedback or the response will be received by the employees for them to get a clarity on how the goals can be achieved by the certain people that they consult or that they want.
mm,
So all in all, having set all the sharp methodology,
mm.
at the end, it comes down to having a plan, right? We need to ensure that we are prepared, where we can execute our strategy with actions, right? And it is important that all the goals are specific and accountable, right? We can partner and surround yourself with people that can support you, and finally the goals are achieved.
Wow, thank you, dear,
Yeah.
for the awesome answer. So, who would like to add on dear's answer, or you have your own view of that? Max, would you like to say something?
I think that is a very good explanation
Yeah,
from there on the sharp methodology.
yeah.
I have nothing much to add, except I probably, in terms of the concept, I think the teamwork, togetherness in achieving the goal is also important. I would ensure that I usually make sure I have a very good team. I make sure that all of us help each other in achieving this goal. So year on year, we have been achieving, and when we achieve, we enjoy when we happy together. We celebrate it. Okay, so if we work in silos or being very individualistic, then what's the point of achieving success be alone? So those kind of motivation I'll give to my team. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, can't agree with you more. How about Caroline? You'd like to add something?
I think Dia and Hayden has actually summed it up quite nicely. So to
Caroline, you
me
have to
is
speak louder. Sorry for chiming in. Yeah, you have to speak louder.
sorry, is this better?
Yeah, now, yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay, right. I think Mahindra and Dia has actually given a very good comprehensive explanation. For me, in my organization, I'll always make sure that, like what Mahindra said, there is a good support system. So, but as well as because a lot of times, I think traditionally, a lot of the partners tend to work in silos. And then I hear a lot of complaints saying that, oh, compliance is not helping with operations, or operations is not, doesn't comply with compliance policies, etc. So I think what I usually do is to make sure that managers, at least the managers or assistant managers and above, will sit down on a monthly basis, and then to actually uh, discuss on the challenges that they are facing. Because I realized a lot of times the partners don't understand each other, and then when they set their goals, they blame each other for not achieving their goals. So I
Mm,
think in that sense, a lot of times I would rather sit those managers down, especially managers that I know have close working relations, or the functions are interdependent, and then I will get them to share at least three of their topmost concerns. So
mm,
I realized that gradually, as this is being done, everybody realized that, there are constraints within each another's department, so they tend to work together better, and then they will formulate like be an agreement or an SLA, or even just by basic understanding and accommodation to each other, that they can actually work better towards those goals. And I realized gradually over time, the company culture has changed. So people tend to be more friendly and willing to help. I think that's a byproduct, but I think it's definitely a good one. And they are more willing to come together to work as one, as a team, to
mm.
actually achieve the organizational goals. And it seems that the morale within staff tends to get better because there's better understanding, and there's more information that's being communicated as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, any questions from the participants for our panelists today? Any questions? Like Marie, do you have any questions for them? We have a lot of take home today, a lot of take home, a lot of valuable sharing and so forth. Yeah, Mary. Yeah, Marie.
Hello, hi. Good
Hi, Marie.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you to all the panelists. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, actually, we had a training also on goal setting on this one, but my question is, how would you? Is there any way that you can, how to say, specify or the goal setting program for each culture? Let's say, for example, because I know, as I understand, each culture has different way of working culture, work culture in a company, right? So is there any way that you can is my word correct, specify, or no, there's another term for this one, like I cannot find the word. Like like, like something that is more suitable in each culture.
Okay. 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 Anybody would like to answer? Max. Okay.
I think if I understand her question well, she was trying to say about how the communication uh, 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 of goal setting to the employee based on cultural um,
Diversities.
diversity or cultural
Cultural.
methodology. Okay, uh,
Cultural
prob-
methodologies.
yeah, probably there are certain part of the world where the people there's a way of communicating as opposed to the other part of the world. But I think apart from that, because I came from an MNC background where we have people from various countries, various cultural background, um, uh, we are unable to um, really segregate or come up with the kind of variety of communication style in terms of sending our message across. What is more important is the culture of the organization, how the people or how the organization set the culture or how the culture was built in that particular organization. We used to hear, oh, the other organization, the culture is this. People are talking very harsh, so very straightforward. However, culture of this organization, people are more friendly, okay, and more approachable, for example. So this is what we used to hear. If you're talking about whether the goal setting need to take into account of all this or need to leverage on all this, I'm not sure whether that's the right thing. However, I think based on the culture of that working culture of that organization that has adopted a certain style of organization which has been working for them all this while, I think that is a methodology we should employ, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I have answered your question.
I think I get your idea because actually in here because we're doing a lot of trainings which includes also goal setting which is being given by our corporate director who's from Singapore. So it's like um adapting the Singapore methodology of training to Cambodia, which is by far is a bit quite difficult because of the culture barrier and the communication. So that's why I'm thinking if there's any way that we can bridge the gap, okay, on in which it would be more easy. It would be more easy for us to inculcate to the Cambodian employees the new
Okay,
way of thinkings, new way of
okay, I
thinking,
now
something like this.
okay. So sorry, I think now I got your question. Okay, so this is more of a cross-border communication.
Yes.
All right. So when you go into another organization, so how do you communicate, taking into account of their cultural nuances and all that? I think then it is important that you cannot bring in uh, or rather it's not suitable to bringing one culture from another part of the world and enforce it or use that style into that particular culture. Yeah, that may not work well with the locals. Yes, that is definitely something that when they go into your country, they have to fit in to your country's cultural as well as the way of life, and ensure that you guys are able to work according to the goal that they have set. Okay, so that is very important. I agree.
Thank you for that one. Because actually, that's what I'm thinking. Being a Filipino working in Cambodia for 11 years, so it's like for me, I've been used to the culture here in Cambodia already. So, but still the same, I cannot consider myself as native. I cannot know. So I still need to find new ways on how to ensure that that in providing training, I'm communicating to them in such a way that my training would be more understood than what I expected.
Yeah, Marie, I can share with you my experience when I was in working in manufacturing, where our organization actually um, imported an advisor from Europe. All right, so he came to our factory and start looking around on how the production workers produce the output, the pieces. All right. So what he has done is that his methodology is very strange, where he, if he sees that the pieces were not done well, he'll take and then throw on the floor, and then he will crush it. All right. So people, the local people could not take it. They feel very insulted by his action. But for him, that is okay, because back in his country, people are okay with that. So in our culture, we are more sensitive in terms of this kind of thing. So we cannot take it. All right. So in that sense, yes. So whoever that is in charge of uh, what do you call that, getting this message or certain plan into certain organization where there is a cross-cultural element, then he or she definitely need to take that into account. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Maharan. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Thank you.
Ah, yeah, yeah, correct. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody would like to add on the what message just answered to Marie's question? Caroline, would you like to add on anything? You have to unmute yourself. Unmute.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted already. I think because when Marie mentioned about a Singapore manager, I think I can understand where she's coming from. I think as a lot of people have a lot of comments in terms of like managers from Singapore, because we are very used to certain ways of doing things. Uh, so technically, I think it's really just a teething issue. So in terms of managing the managers' expectations together with the training that's provided, I think what it really needs is really to sit down and let um, him or her know that culturally wise it might not be feasible, and to actually work steps in order to integrate what is expected into the local culture, which I feel that it takes time, because in my previous organization, uh, we actually have we actually have a new company in Cambodia, uh, and I think in the beginning there was a lot of teething issues whereby, as a group, which is in Singapore, we wanted to implement things that's in Singapore into Cambodia, and we want to do it almost immediately. So I think that caused a lot of tensions, and the HR over the local HR over in Cambodia said that a lot of things can't be done because employees are not used to the way of how it's being done. So I think in that sense, training needs to include harmonization, whereby we need to explain to see that, hey, you know, this is the head office directive is this. However, we understand the local culture is this. So what they are going to do in order to try to harmonize both, in order to make sure that the employees are receptive of it, as well as the head office is also acceptable of what is being done, and then make it a gradual process to gradually integrate whatever that needs into the local culture and the local office.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. So I think the is already come to the end of the session today. And thank you again for all the human resources experts who are on the panel today. So before we end, we like to say something before we end the session. Max, would like to say something before we end?
Yeah. Thank you, Rita, for taking the trouble organizing this. It has been a very fruitful session. I think Dia had dropped off. Her sharing, as well as Carolyn's sharing, has been very informative. I've also have learned a lot today, and likewise, I hope everyone, especially the participant, as well, also have learned a lot. Um, all the best, and hope you can bring in more on-demand topic also after this. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Max. How about Caroline? Would you like to say something before we end the session today?
I think I agree with Mahendra. Thank you very much, Rita, for organizing this session. Sorry for my connection. It's really very bad today. So somehow, uh, yeah, sorry about that. I have learned very much in terms of it from Dia and Mahendra as well. And I'm glad that we have this session because to me, every day is a learning journey. And and because we are probably from various different industries. So I think different industries have different practices, which I'm glad that we actually congregate here to learn from one another. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Dia has a session to go, so that's why she has already left the session. But I love the sharing today from Caroline, from Max, and also from Dia. So let's conclude our session today, and we'll record. We are recording it, and after that we'll share it on the closed Facebook group so that more HR professionals can benefit from what we have shared today. Thank you again and have a nice weekend. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.